Welcome to Tangermouse Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Today we're looking at a prototype of the Seals of Cthulhu. The Seals of Cthulhu is being published by Thing 12 Games. It's a two-player betting bluffing game that plays in about 20 minutes. You can either play as the cultist trying to end the world or the investigator trying to save the world. It's coming to Kickstarter this May. The prototype components include cards, influence meeples, and an active player token. At the beginning of the game, players get a hand of cards and 4 influence tokens. You can also add an ID card to add variety to the game. On your turn, you'll place a face-down card from your hand between the two of you, and place influence markers and even face-up cards that are already in your control. This influence is what you're willing to give up to get the face-down card. The opposing player can take the influence, and then you get the card and place it face-up in front of you, or they can place their own bid of at least 1 influence more. Wagering goes back and forth until a player takes the influence and the other player gets the card. Then it's the next player's turn. The game ends after each player has 5 turns. The strategy comes into play with trying to obtain the right cards. You can only activate the card's abilities once they are face up in front of you and you control both halves, and it must be your turn. They can do things like flip your cards face up or face down, you can swap cards, you can look at players' hands with some of them, some of the cards let you destroy other cards, and some let you score certain types of cards. At the end of the game, the player with the highest control value of their cards is the winner. So if you're into the Lovecraftian theme, then you're going to probably like this game. It's fun to play either as the cultist or the investigator. How can I get those cards to make them match up? Because that's how those cards activate, so you can use the special powers. And make sure the other player gets the ones with the negative points. So as I mentioned earlier, you can play with some variable player powers. Here's some investigator cards. If your face-up cards equal exactly 13 control points at the end of your turn, you immediately win. Or you could play this one. Once per game, you can banish a face-down card and remove it from the game. That's helpful. This one is once per game, you may force your opponent to turn their bid card face up. That's really helpful. At the end of the game, you may arrest any one of your opponent's influencers that you control, gain 2 control points for 2 influencers, and 5 control points for 4 influencers. Here's some Cultist Cards. Once per game, you may replace a face-down card you control with 1 card from outside the game. Place this new card face down. Once per game, you may force an opponent to turn their bid card face up during the bidding. At the end of your turn, you may swap your hand with your opponent. Your opponent always plays first. At the end of the game, you may sacrifice any of your opponent's influencers that you control. Gain an influence point for each that you sacrifice. So if you're looking for a 2-player Lovecraftian themed game that plays in about 20 minutes, then check out the Seals of Cthulhu on Kickstarter this May.